No Damn's Giving podcast. Next episode. Guys, a little bit of we're here with Coach Gabe Giardina.
Oh, you said it perfect.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, good.
Just like the flower.
I usually butcher that. And Coach Gabe is Albany State's head football coach, and we're going to get into football in just a second. If you're enjoying the podcast, guys, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. It helps us defeat the Google algorithm so that we get more views, and eventually
there's not a dislike button.
There's not actually. There is a dislike
Is there?
button. If you dislike something
On YouTube, yes, there is.
it would actually be better if you told us what you disliked. Like I don't care if you hit the dislike button or not, but go down and put a comment and tell us what we should do better. And some comments we've gotten have been things like speak into the mic, don't breathe so loudly, and turn the air conditioner off. So constructive criticism.
And don't call anybody out by name, specifically.
Yeah.
Like me, man, it hurts my feelings.
Or Nikki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really sensitive as well.
Coach, glad to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
All right. So we were just talking, and I told him we need to turn stuff off because it's it was good stuff. So maybe you just go ahead and give us the preview. Where's Albany State? And we'll go back for all the details. Where's Albany State this year? What are we looking at? How's our season going to be? What are you excited about? What are you not excited about?
Sure.
You know, the 50,000 foot view.
There you go. Well, we start practice Friday, so all of our guys moved in here today. So we got all the logistics out of the way. We're excited. We got 9 starters back on defense. We got 7 coming back on offense. We got a lot of really good weapons that we're excited about, and excited to see what the 2019 version of the Golden Rams look like.
Yeah.
We also got our All-American place kicker and punter back.
Oh, that's cool. Who's that?
His name is Gabe Giardina.
Yeah.
I like
no
that.
relation.
Yeah.
Gabe.
There's not many Gabes in this world, so we got to stick together.
That's right.
So we recruited him. He's actually from Mexico, left-footed guy, and he's pretty good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Former soccer player?
Yeah, played a little soccer, but came to America and learned how to kick that, oblong spheroid, as we call it.
The oblong spheroid.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's Coach Tom House taught. That was the first time. I mean, I guess I knew that was what it was. He goes, Joe, do you want to learn how to throw a oblong spheroid?
What?
Joe's eyes sort of crossed. Joe's my son.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes sort of crossed, and he looked at him, and he looked at him and goes, Joe, football. Oh, yes, sir, Coach. I'd love to. So pretty cool. So what? Tell everybody about you and how you got to Albany, and this is your what year?
It's our 3rd season.
Yeah.
I kind of got this job pretty late, 2 years ago after spring ball. Kind of had to throw a staff together, and I tell those guys that I worked with in 2017, I said, you may not have a more impactful year of your life than being here through that transition after the universities had consolidated, and we just had to kind of settle the waters, I guess, and really almost get emotional about talking about that staff and those guys, and they were able to win 6 games that year, went 6-5, beat Valdosta State right out of the gate, which is obviously a big, South Georgia, rival / bragging rights type of a game for us.
They can just pull from Valdosta, from Lowndes County, and
it's like
it's
like a minor league.
Like a little minor league team that they just kind of
Farm
work
team.
on up.
Yeah. But then last year, we went 7-3 in the regular season and played in the conference championship game. Came up a little short. So I tell everybody it was the most bitter end to a season I've ever been a part of. We were ranked regionally going into the championship game and would have gone to the playoffs, and obviously want to bring home the hardware. I want to plant that thing out there on Mayor Hubbard's, footsteps. She's Albany State grad. Let everybody come by and take pictures, and didn't get it done. So we lost 2 things on one day. We lost the conference championship, and a chance to go to the playoffs. So I tell everybody, I said, it's you should see an angry team out there, one that wants to prove itself and get back into, winning ways. And you're definitely going to see, I know I'm not tall, but
Right.
I'm going to be fiery. Okay?
You got to make up for it.
That's right. So we're excited, to see what 2019 can bring. We got a brand new, they got it done today, video/scoreboard. So, I just keep going. This thing's hopefully crystal clear.
Video scoreboard.
Yeah, video screen, like a jumbotron,
That's awesome.
So I tell everybody, you talking about the like button earlier?
Yeah.
All the fans can see the poor calls by the officials in HD now. So,
Right.
So they can get their verbal, dislike button.
Well, now I told you what we really want is the Pretoria Fields box.
Well,
that serves.
We got it available.
Speaking of beer,
Oh.
that actually serves Pretoria Fields beer in the Pretoria Fields box.
There
So
you
we-
go.
Awesome.
Well, we could. We definitely have.
We can
box
work-
seating.
we can work something
available.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
one thing at a time.
Yeah, well, plenty of advertising available on that board, Trip.
Yeah, there is.
All you have to do is stroke. It's
Captive audience now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
you gotta
we're-
sit there and they're gonna go.
We want
third quarter.
We
is
want to
brought to you
support.
by.
It's probably as easy as somebody making a phone call. So.
There you go.
So what were you doing? You said you got a call late in the year.
Mhm.
Well, two things. Number one, how did the combination of Darton and Albany State affect the football team?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Or did it?
I don't know that it has much really. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This is always Albany State has always been good. They've always had good players and good coaches, so if anything, as my friend Roger Marietta tells me, he goes, Gabe, at least I was a Darton professor, and now I have a football team to cheer for. So we've increased support, getting this job was unique. I was in FCS football at a place called Charleston Southern in South Carolina. We had won 36 games in 4 years. Worked for a really good guy named Jamie Chadwell, who had decided to, took a Division I coordinator job, and so it was kind of time. So you start looking for opportunities, and you want to go somewhere where they've won, where your family you think can thrive, and I think we found everything here.
So that squirreled my brain out for a second. So I want to know this. What is the so you weren't a head coach before?
No, I was an offensive coordinator.
And so what is that like jumping? I have my idea of what it's like, but what is it like jumping from into that position?
Well,
yeah.
There's no manual, I can tell you that. What's it like being a doctor and running a brewery? It's chaos, right?
Well, it's managed chaos,
there
and I
you
would
go.
tell you that if the only way to do it well, and this is what I think the good coaches do process management well, and I think head coach, especially in an organization, because you probably have a multi-million-dollar budget. I just had to guess.
Well, I wish, but
Yeah.
no. But
Is it close to $1 million?
No, I would say it's more like we're probably close.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
I mean,
salary.
that's a
salary,
pretty big business. That's a
scholarships.
pretty big business.
you're-
I mean, $1 million a year is a pretty big business.
Absolutely.
And so for that to function well, you have to be good at organization. And I think the coaches that are good at organization, which is, of course, there's a lot of components to organization, people process, people process. I don't remember the other one. But anyway, so the leadership skills to be able to do those things come down to detail management. And I think that becomes more of it, or as much of it as it does, football.
Absolutely.
And so I thought, that's part of the reason I want to talk to you, because I think that
Yeah.
part of it's super
Well,
interesting.
You know what I try to do is I try to, you hire a staff, and you hire a staff based off of, years of experience and the positions they coach, areas they've recruited, and then just some of it's your personal relationships with these guys, right? Can I trust this guy? But then you start working together, and what I've tried to do is find out what is, Nick Reves, our defense, what is he really good at? What is Dino Waits, our other co-DC, what is he really good at? Because you got to manage the off the field things. The on field part is the easy stuff. The football part that's easy, but it's financial aid, and it's the academics and the personal life stuff. That's what we're really trying to get into. Tripp, is the heart. That's my big mantra. Is we're trying to build a family, but I think you build a family through the heart, and we want to capture the hearts and minds of our players while investing in their lives. That's the coach's it. Right. And so I definitely have to be detailed, and you got to give enough. I think responsibility and leash to let people be successful, but then also say, okay, I'm just checking on you. You know what I'm saying? Is this done? And is it done the right way?
Expectation and performance.
Correct.
Expectation and performance. This is my expectation.
Yes.
This is where I expect you to perform.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you're not doing it, and this is how I feel we could get better.
Correct.
So.
But doing that in a positive and encouraging way, and not like a micromanager. Everybody says micromanager. It's like a swear word. He's a micromanager. I'm like, sort of am. But I think it's important to define things, and a little bit is like marketing within our own program. So we've got what it is for us, what a leader is, posted on our walls. We say a leader is a positive, inspirational, investing influencer.
Nice.
Okay, so how does a freshman take hold of that? It's hard for a 19-year-old to lead when there's 23-year-olds, right, around him. So we say lead in your position group first. Lead in the way you approach a drill. Give maximum effort, and everybody will kind of take notice of that. And as the kids grow up, now they've got influence, and we always say influence is the currency of a leader, right?
Sure.
And I got to protect that influence. I can't be, telling everybody, hey, we got to get in the dorm the night before the game, and I'm out, not in the dorm, right? I got to have a high level of character, and I tell the guys who are great leaders, that sometimes leadership is a lonely place.
Oh yeah.
When I was an assistant coach, Tripp, I was one of the guys. Me and all the assistants used to hang out and have fun.
Oh yeah, sure.
And now you hire some guys and you're good buddies with them. But now it's like I walk in the room and
go quiet.
Ooh, Gabe's here.
That's a tough transition.
It is, but nobody is void of insecurity.
Yeah.
You just got to be okay with it, and I think that's why I've tried to grow a little bit and say, okay, God, like I'm gonna be okay with being insecure sometimes.
Yeah. I don't think there's any world where leadership expectation and moving up in the chain is not like expected or respected. So going into that transition, and it's sort of your time. Of course, the other part of that being your time is when the bad things happen, it all falls on you too, which is a good. It's good for your assistant coaches, because you should. You're the man. You should take that.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. The buck stops with me. And one of my personal goals is to have guys grow. I don't want Albany State to be their last job. I want them to grow and kind of outgrow us. And not that Albany State is a bad place, or Division II football is not what you should aspire to be. It's incredible. The face inside the face mask doesn't really change whether it's Albany State or Georgia or Lee County, Deerfield, Windsor. It's still a human being in there, right?
Was Charleston Southern D2 as well?
No, we were FCS Division I.
Okay.
So
that's what I thought.
And but the proof in that is, I've had in 2 years I've had 4 coaches leave and go, not just FCS but go Division I. They're in the Sun Belt. They're at Georgia State now.
Sure.
They're at Georgia Southern. They're at Coastal Carolina. And so one of our coaches who coached our corners just took a Division II coordinator job, So these guys they're being developed, but they were good. It's not Gabe. They were good. They were good coaches before they got to me.
Sure.
But I think it says a lot about Albany State too, and the people that people respect this program, and within the Division II landscape, and the things we've kind of had to accomplish. And my thing is that some people go, oh, you've had to go in there and kind of shake things up. Like, no, we just had to smooth out the waters. This has always been a good place and good players, and won for a long time.
Right. So one of the things that impresses me about really good programs, and I don't know, well, maybe I should say it this way, really good high school programs, is that it seems like the focus is not, if they're really good and you look at the coach almost 9 times out of 10, the focus of the coach is not even on football. And it was just my way with my high school coach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my head coach talked about football or strategy as much as he talked about being a good person, doing the right thing, making helping your teammates.
Mm-hmm.
All the off-season stuff where making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do by being in the gym, or making sure you're picking your buddy up by doing those things. So I've always found that so interesting about. Does it translate to college?
To me, there's no doubt that it doesn't, and that's where I'll be honest with you. So I was a graduate assistant for Nick Saban when I was 24 years old, right? And everybody knows that Coach Saban gets great players. He has Cadillacs where some people have,
The Kias.
Kias. That's great. Good job.
Okay. Having in the Kias, man.
Yeah.
We're going to get live.
Kia
hate mail
over
over
there. He's gonna go real fast. But what he doesn't get enough credit for is the culture that he builds, and the leaders that he builds. And so I just, I always had great respect and admiration for him for that, just because it was amazing the number of good people that he had come talk to the team, but then also just the individual leadership building that he would do with individual players that he knew were good players, because it is hard for the backup quarterback to be a leader. He's not in the game very much, right? He can be a great person, but so you got to get your best players. They set the culture of the team. They're either going to drive you to success or failure. I mean, that's just my belief. And so for me, it's building that family that we talk about. And we say that family is an acronym for us. So I'm not going to get into nitty-gritty details, but we say it's faith, attitude, mental toughness, integrity, and love.
Oh, wow.
And we
That's
say
awesome.
if you can do those 5 things, Tripp, you are the right guy for us.
Yeah.
So more important than the talent of the kid is the culture and the personality within the locker room. Because if you have great talent but nobody gets along, we're not going to play hard for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And football is one of those synergistic games, right? There's 11 guys out there.
Oh, yeah.
And we ask these fat defensive linemen to run to the ball. Okay, I mean, chase it like your life depends on it. But guess what? If they don't love their teammates or they don't love their coaches, they don't. It's subconscious mind. I'm just telling you, I've seen it happen. They just don't run that hard.
Sure.
But I've seen bad players, or I shouldn't say bad players, but below average players make great plays because they were playing hard and they loved their teammates. So we try to man hug them a lot. We try to make them as uncomfortable as possible.
Man hugs.
And say, hey, man, I love you. And, you tell an 18-year-old that, they're like, oh, gosh.
Especially one that's 6'5".
Correct, yeah, and sweating.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
But you just don't know. I mean, some of these kids, some of my young men, there's a lot of them don't have the dad at home,
Sure.
And I think that's what you were talking about earlier is, your coach kind of talking to your heart about character and all that. And there's the famous,
No doubt.
Billy Graham quote of a coach has more influence than a pastor does in a year, And I think that's important, I think.
Well, in the South, they're the same thing.
Well, true. True.
Any given Sunday.
That's right. We go to the Fox Sports Baptist to see the Falcons play, and then we go to the Baptist church. But I really do believe that. I think, and that's why I cherish my job so much, and feel like it's more of a calling than a profession. And but that's also why when you hire people, you got to hire like-minded people, and just recognize where you got to train them a little bit and fill them in.
Right. I think in the business world we call it right seat, right person, right seat, something like that. I don't know. We've had a couple of business guys on here talking about different things on management and skills and how to make sure that success and breed the culture of success. Tell me a little bit more, because that's super interesting to me. I read a little bit of Saban's book. I don't know if he wrote it, if somebody wrote it about him, talking about his culture and some of the different things he's done. Was Kirby there when you were there?
Kirby. So I was there between a transition period. So I worked for Mike Shula for 2 years, the son of Don Shula. and then Mike got fired, and Nick comes in and he let me stay for a year. So it was good to see the contrast of styles.
Yeah.
You know, the pace that Nick Saban works at is incredible. I mean, he's just so urgent all the time. Now, the tough part is you're kind of on pins and needles, you know. The culture within the team is really, really good. Sometimes he's not a tall guy now. I mean, he's like my height. But there's just a presence there, and you're like, oh. Yeah, everybody starts moving faster, you know. I'm nervous, you know. I'm trying not to get ripped over here.
So will the coach come over and give you what for if you're if he's not?
The first day, the good story here is the first day he says he's going to retain the graduate assistants. You know, we're all like celebrating, like, okay, thank goodness we're going to have a job. I'm married. I'm like, 24, 25. I'm calling my wife, hey, honey, they're going to let us
one
stay.
more year.
We don't have to move, you know. Yeah, that's right. She's like, huh? What are we doing? She was in grad school at the time. So, but he says we're go to watch recruiting tape, and at that time it was on VHS tapes, and the tape wasn't rewound. So I picked the tape up. I see it's not rewound. I said, hey, coach, just hold on 1 second. I gotta rewind this tape. And he calls me over and uses some other adjectives that we can't say on the radio, but basically says there was a balcony. It was like this, studio. Imagine a balcony out there. He goes, well, the next time a tape's not rewound, I'm gonna take your little rear end and throw it off that balcony right there. And I'm
wow.
like, welcome to work, But I think he's a tester of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Don't get your feelings hurt.
No,
Yeah.
and so I just kind of I was like, all right, well, I really felt like, all right, I'm in. Like he yelled at me. Great.
Yeah.
He really cares.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah,
Give
good
me
sign.
the negative attention.
As long as his attention doesn't matter.
Correct. Yes.
So is this a true story? Won a national championship, expected them to be at work at like 5 a.m. the next morning.
Well, I don't know about that. I know that because I wasn't there at the we weren't that good when I was only there a year and we weren't great. So
Yeah.
I do know this. It was probably a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Him and Kirby. You mentioned Kirby. They had a different relationship than everybody on the staff, because it was almost like a protege or like a medieval times like apprentice. You know what I'm saying? It was just so like we would sit there. We would all watch the film, and you would hear two voices talking. It would be him and Kirby Smart. It was like ping pong. It was like two geniuses sitting in the room, just bing, 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 and I'm just like going, holy cow, I can't keep up with this, right? And then you had Jeremy Pruitt, who's the head coach at Tennessee, sitting in Kirby's under his wing here. He wasn't even on the field at the time, so I'm just like going, 15 years later, you're like, wow, there's a lot of coaching talent in that room. But I can tell you, in spring recruiting, typically you recruit in the spring Monday through Friday, and you take. Everybody I've ever seen takes Saturday and Sunday off. But Nick would bring the whole staff in on Saturday morning, and we'd have a 2-hour to 3-hour meeting on that week's recruiting. And it was good in that he always would say the right hand has to know what the left hand is doing, and so you had been out recruiting and evaluating and finding people, and he constantly was maneuvering the board. But the coaches just hated it. They're like, we're working on a Saturday in the spring. It's April. Like, we only get so many weekends off. Like my wife, was like, going, what? You're going? You're going in? I'm like, we gotta go.
Yeah.
So,
Only if I don't want him to yell at me.
Right. Yeah. I want him to notice that I am there. So.
Yeah. So one of the things we've been through this summer is my son has gone through the recruiting for baseball, and. It's a bizarre process for a family or for parents because they really don't have a lot of information. I mean, it's not like there's a manual. Like what you said,
correct.
Show up for a coach and
coaches like that. There's not a manual.
There's not a manual. Yeah, they probably do.
We like that it's a little secretive.
But so one of the things that's pretty interesting is the packages and the financial part of it. Can you talk about that a little bit and how y'all? I mean, you talked about the family and how you get a kid there, and you want him to be a part of the family and caring as much about his career path as you do his on-field success. But then, what is the meat and bolts and what a lot of parents are thinking was how the pay for college and that time.
Correct.
So D2 pays for college, right?
Correct.
So
it's in Division II, let's just start with this. It's different than Division I, okay? Kirby Smart offers everybody a full scholarship. Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech. Even the guys at Mercer and Kennesaw State. Those are all full rides, okay? They just have a differing number. You know, at Georgia they have 85. At Kennesaw State they have 63, okay? In Division II, the maximum you can have scholarship-wise is 36, okay? So people like Valdosta and West Georgia, they've got 36 scholarships. You break those up, okay? Here at Albany State, we have 24. So when we go play Valdosta State on September the 7th, you know, I go into that game with 12 less scholarships, okay? It's kind of like fighting a fight with your hand behind your back, okay? So as part of it here, Church, to say, you know, I need people to buy tickets. So you get what I'm saying?
So you get some more scholarships.
You need them to buy beverages. I need them to buy tickets. You know
We can work something out.
Yes, there you go. Let's get that box going. We break them up, and it's kind of like being in the NFL. That's the best way to describe it in Division II. I give players money based off of value we've assigned to them, based off of their talent, their character, and all that. Now, I would be lying to you if I said we like to find kids with some kind of either a Hope Scholarship or a Pell Grant. A Hope Scholarship is academics, right, from the state. A Pell Grant is based off of your income, right? The less you make, the more free money you get from the government. And then we're pairing that with sometimes it's a student loan. And we're very transparent about that at Albany State.
Sure.
Now, I can tell you, you said there's no manual. There's some people that aren't very transparent about a trip. You know what I'm saying? They will. They'll sell you a bag of goods that's not quite as nice as you think it is. Okay. But
So are you giving quarter scholarships or half?
I can tell you this. I've gotten everybody. It's $16,500 to go to Albany State. I've got everything from guys on $11,000 down to $1,000 or $500. And it's, part of it, we may be the only school recruiting them, and we want to give them some money. We just don't have much, so we give them what we've got. Sometimes they call it a love offering.
Oh boy!
So
sounds like the beer business.
There you go.
Could you give us a love offering? And we would love to have your beer.
That's right. Put our beer in your store, right?
Yeah.
What's the pink? The pink top is what?
Farmhouse Marigosa. Your wife is going to really enjoy those.
There you go. And then what? You said there was some blueberry thing over here that was kind of new.
We have a.
That's actually a collaborative brew with Piedmont. It's a blueberry saison.
Well, there you go.
I've had one. It's pretty good.
Fields of Opportunity.
Yes.
And I really like the can.
Nikki's drinking one right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
So,
very good.
but we were talking about the commitment of a 17-year-old, right?
Right.
Or 18-year-old. The bottom line is sometimes they change their mind, or in recruiting, it's kind of like what you talked about earlier, paying for college, right? My wife says to me, money doesn't talk, it screams in a very loud voice, right? So if I'm recruiting a kid and late in January, Kennesaw State comes in, Division I school, and offers him a full scholarship, I'm probably losing that guy.
Yeah.
Unless this guy has some great tie to Albany State, or he has some Pell or some Hope money that equates him to a full. But people are loyal to the green, more than they are than the blue and the gold, which really good microphone caps, by the way.
Right.
Exactly.
That just worked
Wow.
out, right?
We do
Nice.
that on purpose.
Yes. So, but that happens, and we know what happens. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So they're good with it up until the point where they're getting a better. Well, I mean, hopefully that's not a lot. I mean, getting a better offer. Do coaches come in and this is your guy? They've committed to your guy, and then the other coaches are still recruiting them.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's dirty.
Recruiting is truthless.
That would give a bad name. Not really.
The bottom line is
coaches cut each other.
Correct. Well,
a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see Georgia. Well, I shouldn't say. I can see Georgia and Alabama doing it.
They would say, or I would say it like this: the game is not over until the final buzzer goes off. Okay, so do I mess with kids that are committed? not typically unless we can offer them something better. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
well, that makes sense.
Or
Camara.
the kid, yeah.
We'll give you your own 7-Eleven.
Farmhouse Barry goes there's a fine line, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And for us, it's not as ruthless in Division II as it is in the SEC.
I would just yeah.
Because the bottom line is you get evaluated on winning and losing, and Georgia's good because Jake Fromm's their quarterback.
Right.
Kirby Smart is a good coach too, but Jake Fromm's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
If Gabe Giardina's playing quarterback for him, they're going to struggle, right? So Kirby's the smartest guy in the world. You know what I'm saying? So as we always like to say, it's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and Joes.
Right.
And they're the ones that make the difference typically in the game.
So are do the coaches that do a lot of that, they get a bad name? Do y'all not talk to each other, get kind of
Well,
upset?
it's competitive.
Do y'all know the guys who are gonna do that? I mean, it's a small world, right?
Here's what I found the best way is. Sure. If I have a problem with the way a kid is being recruited by another school, I just call the head coach.
Yeah, that's good.
And I kind of learned that from Saban. Saban told us a story one time about Urban Meyer, and he had a lot of respect for Urban Meyer, but he had a problem with what the way Urban did something with all those guys, and he just called him. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's like one of those things. Hey, there's no no loyalty among thieves or something like that.
No honor.
But no honor among thieves, right? So in a few instances where I feel like somebody's done something unprofessional or unethical, I've just called the guy. Maybe it's not the assistant coach, but his boss, and say, hey, look, I feel like this is going on. I want you to know it if you don't, and we need to talk about it. And sometimes we agree to disagree, but I typically clears the air. And so, and that's the way, I really think a lot of problems would be solved a lot better if we would do that. Taking to social media is not the way.
Right.
Valdosta's doing this, or Fort Valley's doing that. No,
Lessons in diplomacy by Gabe.
Or
That's pretty good.
Kindergarten lessons.
Let's play in the sandbox.
Let's play in the sandbox together, because it's a small sandbox for the world.
That's my shovel.
It's yours.
I'd like to borrow it.
Just ask.
There you go.
I'd like to borrow that back.
I would like to borrow that
There
shovel,
you go.
please. Okay, so another thing that a parent might think about
Mhm.
is how often does the college make a commitment before signing day and then change his mind? Is that a thing?
That does happen, and that's the part of recruiting that's a two-way street. For me, I say it happens. I've seen it happen. I don't make a practice out of it.
Sure.
Nothing in the worse in the world than calling someone and saying, "Hey, look, I don't have money for your son." That's. So I just can't. I got to put my head on the pillow at night and rest, because these are kids' futures we're talking about.
Oh, no doubt.
And so, for me in our program, we really try to avoid that. Now, the hard part about that is, okay, if I'm recruiting everybody at this table, I'm recruiting you the hardest, right? And I really want you, but I'll settle for someone else. I got to make everybody else feel like
I'm a better runner, though, so you should probably rethink
there
that.
you go. So we'll take Nikki on that one.
We're gonna lose the technical player.
I'm going to lose out to Nikki's running.
So, but I got to make, Nikki over
She's
here,
got some special
I got to make her
talents.
feel like she's just as important as you, And so, you get your hopes up, right? Oh, hey, but we don't put the dollars and cents out there unless we're willing to take a commitment.
Right.
Now, I may offer you both the same thing and say the first one that takes it, I'm taking, and you may lose out on it. That's the hard part too. That's the difficult part is, hey, look, I've offered you, but she committed, so I'm taking her. The money is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes parents are upset about that, but that's what we signed up for.
Sure.
So.
Future of Albany State sounds great. What can we look for in the future from you guys? Well, let me tell this story first. So, was it and this isn't really a story. Last year, y'all had 3 home games?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's not good to win a local crowd.
Correct.
Hmm.
Correct.
We got 5 this year?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
5.
Awesome. And is that kind of where it tops out at? We'll have about 5.
Yeah, we play 10 regular season games.
Like to have 6. Maybe.
Well, here's how we get 6. The
We
SIC,
win something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the SIC in Division II, you play 10 regular season games, so you're limited, right? And every year we're going to play Fort Valley, our big rival. We don't like them.
Yeah.
It's the throwdown after sundown, the Fountain City Classic in Columbus. So that we lose that game. Does that make sense? Because neither team plays it. It's a neutral site game. It's like Georgia and Florida.
Right.
So what we try to do is cycle back between 5 and 4. So we're on our, 3 is the thing of the past. We whatever.
Please.
Yeah, it's a scheduling anomaly. Something we kind of inherited when we got here, and everything happens for a reason. So
Well, if you're going to build a local crowd, they want to go see football games.
correct.
I mean, it's hard unless you have a kid playing, or you went. I guess if you went to the school. I mean, I'm not sure how far y'all travel, but I'd go to Valdosta to watch you. I mean,
Sure.
But most of the people here are probably gonna come to see the games here.
Correct.
So
Well, you need a product to sell, right?
That's right.
You gotta have inventory.
You gotta have a product.
Yeah.
Gotta have inventory.
It's
So
like
a good thing.
it's like the Goza over here. I don't
Yeah.
want to keep going to that one. It's just a fun name to say.
It is. Gots to Goza.
That's right. But so we have the 5 games. If we win our side of the conference, then we'll host the conference championship game.
Okay.
So that'll be 6.
That's cool.
I tell you, for people who've never been on our campus on a Saturday, night for a home game. Okay, first of all, we try to be strategic. We try to make the early season games at night so the heat is not oppressive, right? Coach Smith, when he built the stadium, it was for years they played at Hugh Mills, and they had to fight, bite, and scratch to get it built on campus, right? It's a great setting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's every seat is the angle. I mean, I've tried to strategically go sit in different seats. It's you can see
During
the
the
whole
game?
field. Well, that'd be impressive, though. You wonder what we talk about on those headsets, right? Like,
Hey, what's Coach doing? I think he's just seeing what the seat looks like.
he's beside the tuba player. Right?
That's awesome.
Have you seen the Pretoria field box?
God, he's got a Goza.
Right. He's going to Goza for it on 4th down. But the band is great. And then I tell people this too. Where in America can a college football player, or your son or daughter, I should say, high five a college football player 2 minutes before he goes out there on the field and lays it on the line? You can do that at Albany State.
Sure.
Because we got this hill. I mean, I can tell you there's going to be 3 little boys, 8, 6, and 4, last name Giardina. They're going to be standing there. And they're going to be, they don't have no interest in the game, by the way. They just want to run up and down that hill as many times as possible. So I tell people it's a family-friendly environment.
Right.
Okay? It's safe. It's fun. We got the new scoreboard. We keep the music, at a PG-13 level. You know what I'm saying? And the football is really, really good. Okay? And if you want to argue with the coach, it's the coordinator's fault. Okay? So that's my thing. You know what I'm saying? I think we got something great to sell. And we got 5 opportunities.
Yeah.
So, it's 5 times where we're going to have a post-game crowd at Pretoria Fields,
Sure. Last thing, closing remarks. Anything you want to tell everybody before you go?
I would just want to tell everybody that, hey, we want to be Albany's team. And this Albany State team is behind Albany first. We went through a really hard thing last year with that hurricane. Our whole town did. But during that, we got a great president, Marion Frederick. She made it a goal of hers for us to not miss a week. We took our whole team to Savannah for 5 days. We played an undefeated Morehouse team during that 5 days, and we beat them by 20 points. They were ranked at that time. And it was such a great outpouring of the community to come back to Albany, play at Hugh Mills Stadium, and see an unbelievable crowd. Now, part of the reason was, guess what? We didn't charge anybody that day trip. This was community service.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
The town was hurting,
Yeah.
and we wanted to inspire some people.
Right.
Guess what? We need you to help us now. Okay?
Oh no! I hear it, especially
Here's-
me. And
Here's the pitch, right?
yeah, go
But
ahead.
it's not the pitch to you. It's the pitch to everybody.
Yeah.
To say, hey, come buy a ticket. You may not. It's that whole Morgan Freeman line from Field of Dreams. You may not be knowing why you show up, but it's football.
No, that's
And
right.
it's the South.
Oh, no doubt.
So come to the games because it's the Field of Dreams
I know.
down there.
They're going to be hitting. Somebody's going to hit somebody.
That's right.
Yeah, somebody's going to hit
It's
somebody.
James Earl Jones, not Morgan
Yeah,
Freeman.
it's-
My bad.
somebody's going to hit somebody.
That's right. Somebody.
No, and I've told our guys and I've told
Mhm.
our downtown group that I think
Mhm.
one of the important things that we can do is bring the town together around the school. I mean, it's
Mhm.
our university. I
Absolutely.
mean, we've got Albany Tech and we've got Albany State, and
Mhm.
and what a better thing to bring it around than football.
No doubt.
So let's work on that box.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right.
Let's get it goes again.
All right. Thank you very much for being on the podcast today.
Thanks
This
for
was
inviting
great.
me.
I appreciate all the stuff, and for all the parents, that's good information to understand the recruiting. I mean, it's just interesting too to sort of go through it. So,
It's an inexact science.
I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Trip.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Coach.
all of you.
Yes,
guys,
sir.
man. Thank you so much.
Sure.